Glenn Beck is being sued over his conspiracy theory, one of his conspiracy theories related to the Boston Marathon. After the Boston Marathon bombing last year, which we're actually coming up on the 1 year anniversary, Glenn Beck went on this personal crusade to prove that the Obama administration was engaged in a huge cover-up of the role that this Al-Qaeda operative played in the attack. And they said that there was involvement from the Saudi Arabian government. Glenn Beck went on the air and he gave the U.S. government 3 days to, quote, come clean about the cover-up before he was going to expose it. And after the 3 days passed and the government didn't come clean because, of course, there was nothing to come clean about, Glenn Beck went on air and he said that Abdul Rahman Ali al-Harbi, who was injured in the bombing, was actually an Al-Qaeda control agent and, quote, money man who financed the operation and recruited the Tsarnaev brothers to actually carry out the bombing. So it turns out that Abdul Rahman Ali al-Harbi was at the Boston Marathon bombing. He was injured. After he was brought to the hospital, police asked him if they could search his apartment. He said, of course, go ahead. And it was immediately made clear that he had nothing to do with the Boston Marathon bombing. Glenn Beck didn't care. He said, no, 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 this guy was at one point a person of interest. It was a cover-up how he was ultimately found to be not responsible for anything. And ultimately, Glenn Beck's crusade did come to a grinding halt when he brought on a former INS agent onto his program. His name was Bob Trent. And Bob Trent said, you know what? The timing of your conspiracy theory and all of the so-called facts make absolutely no sense. That was kind of the end of the theory officially, although Glenn Beck occasionally made reference to it. Well, now Glenn Beck and his production company are being sued by al-Harbi, who says that he made me a target. He absolutely disgraced me, made allegations that are untrue, and there are damages being sought here. Even if this doesn't go anywhere, and I think it actually will, this hopefully will be a sign that you can't just go around, if you are in a position of influence, touting conspiracy theories that are absolutely baseless. And of course, conveniently, Lewis, always saying that the lack of hard evidence is part of the conspiracy.
Right. You know, with guys like Alex Jones, these are usually much broader conspiracies, perhaps not pertaining to any one person. But here you have Glenn Beck accusing just one individual civilian of something incredibly heinous.
And the other difference, Lewis, is even when people like Alex Jones do accuse a specific person, they're typically people that are already public figures. So the negative effect on their daily lives is not measurable, right? But this is just a random student who was there, whose life is turned upside down by the fact that Glenn Beck is carrying on about how he's an Al-Qaeda control agent.
Yeah, and I could have easily seen some crazed Glenn Beck fan trying to kill this guy because of Glenn Beck's outrageous conspiracy theories.
Glenn Beck's rantings, remember the Tides Foundation, led to a guy being stopped with weapons on his way to presumably carry out acts of violence. And how people can't see through these theories when no facts are presented, right? You sit there and you listen to Glenn Beck, it sounds like there's data there. There's no data. There's only hyperbole and conjecture and circumstance. That is absolutely it. It's still very effective at influencing people's opinion.
Yeah, it's very scary effective, but they consider this guy to be some type of prophet almost.